I still want to protect myself. Let people know, that's not what I say. Because here's the thing, Abstract. Whenever I say a team is gonna win, they're gonna lose. And if that happens, boy.
Wait, wouldn't that mean that
let's
you're
look at YB
covering yourself? Wouldn't that mean that you're covering yourself? Because, if you put for Onyx PH, they lose, you're the curse.
Yeah. Now we got to look at the draft here, where YB in game, they've already banned out the Suyo, the Hanzo, as well as the Harif, where Onyx PH banning out that Freya, which, again, seems like a monster in the gold lane in the China region. They also ban out the Matilda and the Fanny.
Oh, and of course, when it comes down to Fanny, I think it is pretty much understandable. We have been seeing Fanny being banned out all the time, but it also could very possibly be a respect ban over to Lucas, which is an amazing Fanny player. And if you did watch the China Pro Invitationals, all of the teams actually banned Fanny against Lucas.
And now they're first picking up the Joy. The Joy, like, ever since M6, man, is such a prio. Especially going up against Onyx Philippines, you kind of do not... Oh my god, I was just saying there's no way Kalia's gonna get let through. And now YB in-game, they let the Kalia and the Granger come through. And YB in-game, they reply with the Moskov.
Okay, so let's have some airtime for Kalia, being the very first hero being picked up, or rather the very first time that we have seen here. Well, let's talk a little bit more about Kalia. What's a great combination that Kalia could very possibly go with, and what can really secure Onyx PH in a very successful early to mid-game run?
So Kalia is a catch hero, so anything with a lot of bursts, especially pre-level 4, is going to be amazing. Now that Onyx PH, they have a Granger. In the gold lane, they have some form of burst. So if the Kalia decides to gank the gold lane, there's a high chance for you to get the kill. But you would want to pair her up with something strong in the mid lane, say something like a Selena, a Farsa, anything that has a lot of burst damage to ensure that the engage is successful.
Oh, now, of course, it does seem like Onyx PH have decided to lock on over to the EXP lane first with that Fovia. So at least when it comes down to Onyx PH lineup, they do have kind of like a mix and mash of AoE plus single targets, especially since we're looking out for Granger. Granger does pretty much fits in most lineups, but it's not exactly very conclusive as to what Onyx PH might want to go for. They have the catch, but they don't necessarily have someone that can really work on a pacing in the early to the mid stages. Fovia's great in the EXP. But when it comes down to lane controls, they haven't really established anything for YB in game, which is why they have decided to ban out onto the glue.
Yeah, I can definitely understand the Fovia's pick here because very strong against a lot of dash heroes. And looking at YB in game, having the Joy, having the Moskov, we won't really feel it in the first, say, 7 minutes of the game, but once we see a lot of team fights, you can definitely see the Fovias getting on top of the Moskov to ensure that the Moskov doesn't get the free hit Onyx Philippines. And now we're going back into draft here, where I believe between the speed of the Joy paired up with this Jawhead, which I believe is going to the roam position, Jawhead is going to help leash inside the jungle so that the Joy gets level 4 much faster than Onyx Philippines. So honestly, looking at the first 3 heroes from YB in game, it looks like they want to accelerate the timing going up against Onyx Philippines, which is a good idea against teams that really want to scale up, especially when they don't have a jungler just yet. But it's against Onyx Philippines. Amazing mechanics. I don't know if that's the best answer to go to, but I feel like it's definitely worth a shot.
With Hayabusa actually still available to be picked from Onyx PH, that is probably and likely the one thing that I want to look out for. But with both the jungler and the mid lane hero that is still unpicked, they actually do have quite a bit of options, right? I believe that when it comes down to having a Fovias as well as Kalia, you actually do have a pretty strong front lines already. If you want to play a little bit more far range with a little bit more high grounds, Farsa is still available, and not to forget Novaria is still available as well. There we go. Farsa being the pick here. I think that is pretty much a-okay for now.
Oh yeah, Farsa is amazing. Number one, again, pair very well with Kalia. Like I said, Kalia's range for her title strike is amazing. So a lot of mid laners does not have the range to actually follow up a Kalia gank, but the Farsa definitely can. And Onyx Philippines still hiding their jungler, which I feel like it's good because it lets YB in-game unable to really draft against it. So now YB in-game, they need a mid laner as well as an EXP laner unless they go for something wild and put this Jawhead on the EXP, but I feel like it's definitely going into the wrong position.
Yeah, I do want to think that the Jawhead would want to tag along. CC sounds pretty... Oh, okay, Lucas. Oh, okay, so with the Lucas being picked out, Onyx PH do have two possibilities. Okay, wait, do they have... No, they actually don't have the possibility anymore, considering that Phoveus and Fasa is being picked out already. Have we seen before a Valentina jungle in the recent times?
Recent times, no. In history, no. Yes. But you call out the Hayabusa and they picked it up.
So Hayabusa being the final pick, they do have ways to really go to the back lines to really deal with the Moskov, as well as Selena the moment that Selena misses an arrow. So it's very skill shot based from the side of YB game if they want to go for any initiations aside from the unstoppable force from the Jawhead. But regardless, they have very good burst capabilities from Jawhead and Selena themselves.
Yep. Honestly, for me, if we're just looking at the heroes and we cover the IGNs, I feel like Onyx Philippines, they do have to respect the damage that YB in-game has pre-level 4, because the Selena and the Jawhead at level 1 has one of the highest damage in the game. So if they misstep, if they try to engage inside of the jungle of YB in-game a little bit too early, they have way more than enough damage to punish Onyx Philippines. So I kind of feel like for this lineup, Onyx Philippines, they can't be all that aggressive before the 2-minute mark. After 2 minutes, maybe they can try to do something. But again, YB in game, the early game looks very strong here, Abstract.
Early game, all about adaptability, I gotta have to say. Especially when it comes down to jungle rotation, one thing's for sure is that the Joy plus the Jawhead is definitely gonna be a lot faster. When you have the smart missiles just clearing things out for the Joy, and not to forget the way that the Jawhead has been going around is that he's just ensuring that Joy is constantly gonna be up ahead. But Onyx PH starts to go over to the opponent's jungle already for a quick little invasion.
Yep. Right now, honestly, what Onyx Philippines is doing is they're freezing every single lane, so they're trying to oppress YB in game to make sure that they don't get to move more than half the space of the map. Super Prince got damaged a little bit by Unicorn, but still looking very, very well. Kirk now taking a lot of damage.
Doesn't seem like Kirk is going to stay alive from that, and because of the enhanced speed of the clearing from Joy, they did manage to get level 4 onto Lucas a lot earlier than Onyx PH would have probably expected.
Yeah, and like I said, you gotta respect the damage coming in from YB in game. We saw that where Unicorn almost killed Super Prince, and Kirk, got deleted by Fish God as well as Lucas. So again, even though they're world champions, this draft you gotta be careful. But YB in-game's draft is also volatile when it comes to the late game.
Yeah, honestly, I do kind of want to rewind a little bit, where I thought that Onyx PH, they were given false information, right? Because they did manage to invade the opponent's jungle previously, which would have suggested that Lucas would not have level 4, which probably is the reason why Kirk kind of overextended himself at that point in time.
Now we can see Super Prince here going to the EXP lane, trying to absorb the level 4. It looks like he is going to get it. Unicorn doesn't really need level 4, so just harass him, making sure that he stays in lane. But now Onyx Philippines, as well as YB in game, Abstract looks like they do want to contest for this turtle.
Yeah, it's a lot earlier than I was expected, especially since Brusco is not exactly level 4, but there we go. Super Prince just going to be going straight in for the ultimate and just hoping that they will be able to get a little bit more aerial control around the turtle. So far, no casualties just yet, but Fish God is just working his way, but flickers himself right out. A lot of flickers has already been expended, while Lucas finally makes his way over to the back lines, deal with Brusco. Kirk's next. As such, we do have YB in game that has managed to successfully take control of the turtle whilst taking 2 kills for themselves.
I really appreciate that YB in-game completely understands how their draft works, especially going up against Onyx Philippines, because again, like I said, they definitely have the edge come to the early game because their lineup does not need items for them to really do damage compared to what Onyx Philippines has. Brusco, good engage, and Ares is going to get taken down.
With 1 man down from the side of YB in game, at least Onyx PH would definitely want to slowly get their way back into the game by getting small little straggler kills at this point, because they're not playing for the early, they're playing for the mid and the late.
Now, personally for me, Abstract, I feel like if YB in-game is able to slow down Kirk as well as Super Prince, this is going to make it so that... Oh, no. Unicorn got
Not again. Fear Unicorn. He was within the confines of his own turret, but this is the power of Onyx PH after all. Having great high ground, plus King Kong can just go in for the Ogi Shadow kill. You can't really get away from that.
Honestly, against Onyx PH, with this lineup, I don't want to stay in mid, man. You got a Kalia, you got a Hayabusa, and you have a Farsa. Honestly, even if you stay at your second tier turret, they'll find a way to get you. Like this kind of draft is so easy in executing the gank.
Yeah, that is almost non-committal from Onyx PH. Like, if they really do want to head over to the gold lane and constantly oppress onto Lexi, I don't think that Onyx PH will be too afraid of any of those at all.
Looking at the setup here, looks like the Selena being used by Unicorn is using the Inspire. Not a battle spell, but the emblem set, where this time also gives mana as well, so making it much more effective for mid laners that uses a lot of mana. And now looks like a gang going to gold.
The artillery strikes going on. It does seem like the Feather Airstrike is more than enough to kind of push Ares away and kind of force a recall onto Lexi as well.
Yep, and all of that is to set up for the turtle, making sure that they have priority, making it much more easier. I hope that YB in-game sees this situation and tries to get at least the bottom lane turret.
Oh man, it's just gonna be starting things off with a Tsunami Slam, but it's not quite enough to bring Fish God down. But at least it is gonna be the objective that is taken out from the side of Onyx PH. But here, go look at this! A flicker coming in from the side of Ares and allowed them to pick King Kong off. A great trade if you ask me. But in the meantime, a quick little stun from the side of Super and Fritz. Not quite enough to bring Fish God down, but so close.
I would say that's a big win by YB in-game. Letting go the turtle Schmurtle, man. They got a kill onto King Kong, and they're able to get the bottom lane turret. And I feel like Kelra saw this coming, so he immediately went to the top lane and grabbed that turret for himself. At least there's an equal trade here, because if YB in-game gets one free turret and Onyx PH got nothing, then they're going to be playing from behind. So right now, YB in-game and Onyx Philippines, surprisingly enough, 5 minutes in, and we don't see that big of a goal difference here, Abstract.
Yeah, it's very much neck and neck. In fact, what I was thinking about adaptability is truly going to be the name of the game. But hold on a second, we do have a little bit of a conceal going on, and YB in game, I don't think that they want to engage for this unless they are being engaged on instead. As a Tsunami Slam just going to be working out. Well, in the meantime, the Super Fritz goes up with the Feathered Airstrike. Didn't really quite catch anyone, but it's more of a way to push everyone else out in order for them to dismiss the original fight by picking off Unicorn.
This is one of the weaknesses of Selena. Amazing damage, a lot of mobility, as well as range, but not that great at clearing the wave, especially when you're all by yourself. And Onyx Philippines definitely use that to their advantage. Seeing only Selena there, they can really force a gank and then grab the mid turret essentially for free. So good understanding where Super Friends uses Selena a lot as well. Understand that she's not going to be enough of a player to clear the lanes.
Right, that is a great point. It just got me to think that in the early stages, Unicorn plus Ares, this combination is not something that can really allow the mid lane to push out to crazy extents. To the point that it would be understandable for Onyx PH to be able to get a lot of these lane priority in the middle lane that really enhances their side lanes with the influence of Farsa.
I would say YB in-game, the draft is very gold-centric just by time. Oh, Ares flickers in, but not getting anyone.
Yep, the title strike did manage to hit, but not quite really pull in with the Tsunami Slam. But regardless of all of that, Ares is going to be the first person to go down, one of the tankier members from the side of YB game. As such, this is where Onyx PH understands we gotta have to go all the way in, and Tsunami Slam catches on to Lucas. As now, with 2% down from the side of YB game, then realizes that, yeah, we can't take this fight anymore. Onyx PH continues to oppress the rest of YB game, forcing YB game within of their interior turrets.
This is why Kalia should get banned, because the thing about catch heroes is that they don't care what you want to do. They will engage the fight, and then there's not much that you can do about it. But Kalia does it much better, where the range is just so long. Oh, but now Brusco, you might get caught. No, he doesn't.
Oh, Ares! He tried to be the one to start things fight, but doesn't seem like it's working out well. Ares doesn't have a lot of HP or defenses to really ensure that he stays alive from that burst damage from Onyx PH. And because of that, and what has transpired in the past few seconds to minutes, we are already looking at a 6,000 gold lead in favor for Onyx PH.
Yep, in just 3 minutes, a lot of changes has happened. But the game is not over yet for YB in game because the draft is very gold centric, where all 4 other members of the team is really trying to create space, trying to buy time so that the Moskov gets his items. But at this point, I don't know if he will have the luxury of time to get his items.
I don't think so either, especially since at this point in time, I don't really expect YB in game to have a lot of damage right off the start right now. They are all very committal heroes, such as Ares himself, Lucas himself as well, and even Unicorn. Even if you do land your Abyssal Arrow, you have to go all the way in, and you are not guaranteed an escape mechanism. You have your dashes, sure, but you have to go all the way in. You need Ares to join in with you. You also need Lucas to join in with you. If you do want to bring one person at least down, you need to have 3 persons coming together.
YB in games draft is really a draft where you want all the stars aligned. And again, going up against Onyx Philippines, I feel like it is a good idea, but it's just very hard to make sure that you don't do any kind of mistakes. And I would say it's not that YB in-game really did mistakes, but it's more on Onyx Philippines understanding the weak spot of the draft and literally attacked it. And now they completely control how the game is going. If YB in-game wants to get back into the game, they need some kind of surprise catch.
Yeah, so it's all about catch. I gotta have to agree, right? They are a committal team. But in the meantime, Onyx PH, they have the ability to be able to back off and still being able to be in the fight, mainly because of the great amount of mobility plus the high ground that they have got from the Fasa. So as long as they have got great controls within the range of YB Game's jungle, it's gonna be tough for YB Game to set up these kind of surprise attacks onto Onyx PH.
Not to mention they have a heal.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Kalia can just heal up the team. I see not a lot of players know how to use the heal on Kalia, but I'm pretty sure Brusco knows how to. But now, on the Philippines, this might be the final push!
Yep, as now we do have the Tsunami Slam just gonna be catching on one. Not quite enough to bring anyone down just yet. But the main thing that Onyx PH wants from this baby lord is to bring down the inhibitor turrets. With the top lane taken down, middle lane as well, and they're knocking on to the bottom as well. As King Kong goes straight in with the Ogi Shadow Kill, brings 2 person down with both Unicorn as well as Lexi. In fact, that's not gonna be over just yet, because 3 persons down from YB in game, while Onyx PH, they are all still surviving, with Fish God being the only one that have to go against all. He is not a god. As such, he will not be able to stay alive despite all of these 5 members banking onto him.
Onyx Philippines close out the game with almost